Welcome or welcome back to another episode of Through the Journey with Jennifer. Today, I want to talk about my new book that is coming out April 18th, and it's called I Choose Me. If you've been following me on social media, you've seen the posts um, about the book, some different quotes. Um, I also have a book playlist that inspired the book. But I just really wanted to talk about the story behind I Choose Me and what inspired me to write it. So, what inspired me to write I Choose Me? Well, I myself was going through a healing and a transformation. Um, and then as I would scroll through social media, I would come across other women who were going through and feeling the same things. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not the only one. But then I'm like, okay, this is a character. So a lot of with the main character Alex, um, a lot of what she's feeling, some of what she's going through, are some similar things to what I was feeling and I was going through. You know, I was a young mom. The character was a young mom. And, you know, playing the roles over the years as mom, wife, employee, focus on the career, finishing school. Um, and then your kids get older, and it's like, who am I? When I'm not performing all these roles. Who is Jennifer? Who is Alex, this character? And, I've also observed how a lot of women lose themselves in the role of caregiving and, wanting to explore and figure out who she is. Hence the name I Choose Me. Um, some may look at that name and say, oh, I choose me, that's selfish. No, it's not selfish. You know, um, many women have given themselves selflessly. I don't even know how to say the word correctly, but we've given so much, basically. And we've given so much and we've done so much, and we get to a point where it's like, who am I? Who am I? What brings me joy? What makes me happy? What do I enjoy doing? Do I even like you? Let's be real. So those are the things that this character Alex feels and goes through. Um, Another thing that helped me with this book was last year for my birthday, I took an unexpected solo trip for my birthday. And there was a moment I was in the kitchen, I was pouring me um, a cup of coffee, and I just had this emotions just hit me, and I just started crying. And, I just realized that was the first moment I've ever truly had by myself. I didn't have anyone calling my name, asking me to do anything, expecting anything from me. It was just me alone, doing what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do, go where I wanted to go, when I wanted to go. And that hit me because it was like, damn, all these years, it's been going for everyone else. And I really felt that in that moment. And, I realized I need more of this. I really need to take better care of myself. I need to do more for myself. So that had a lot to do with this book and the reason why I wrote it and some of the feelings behind the character. While writing the book, um, of course, I do some research, and I read a lot about how so many women my age or older that have adult children, they struggle with that identity after motherhood. Not that motherhood is done with, but your kids are grown. Yeah, they still may need you, but you've done your job, and they're out doing their own thing and they don't need you as much as they did when they're younger. So you have all this free time, and it's like, what do I do with this time? You know, what about my dreams and my passions that got put on hold because I was raising kids and, married and working, So it's like once the kids get older, life shifts. And a lot of us women are stuck asking the question, who am I now? And that is part of Alex's journey in this story is who am I now? She has 3 children. She's married. Um, she's getting ready to send her youngest off to college. And the house is empty, and she's like, what do I do now? You know? And I think so many women who have adult children feel that, once the kids are gone, like, who am I now? What am I supposed to do? Um, what do I enjoy? What makes me happy? And choosing yourself is figuring that out. Choosing yourself is healing some of the things that you've been through in your life and trying to better understand yourself as a person. What I want readers to take from this story is it's never too late to rediscover yourself. Choosing yourself is not selfish, and that healing and growth can begin at any stage of your life. I love storytelling, and I have so many stories that I can't wait to put out there. But storytelling for me is such a powerful tool and is so healing. I think stories like this help people see themselves and feel less alone in what they're going through. And then with this story, you know, it's discussing a challenge that women face when starting over in midlife, the fear of judgment, the financial and emotional uncertainty, letting go of old identities and expectations, and letting go of relationships that um, you can't take into the next season of your life. I want the readers of this story not so much to apply Alex's journey to their own lives, but to do a little self reflection. You'll see this character in some of the chapters where, she's experiencing a certain thing and then she'll take time to journal about it. Um, I put that in there because I am passionate about journaling. And I think journaling is healing because we feel these things and sometimes we never release them. And deep down, there are some things that we probably really need to get out and to release We may be too afraid to say it to that person or just to express it to someone, but writing it in your journal or writing it down is a release. So that's what you'll also see in Alex, in her character. And then also, I want readers to be honest about what is no longer serving them in their lives, whether that's your career, whether it's your marriage, where you live, um, friendships, um, just what is no longer bringing you joy, what is depleting you, what is robbing you of your peace. I think it's important for us women in this midlife to start taking small steps toward the life that we truly want because we truly deserve it. It's not an easy thing. you know, we go through some shit. Let's just keep it real. You know, trying to hold everything together. And I know for me personally, which I'm gonna probably do another episode to talk about, um, I I dealt with some trauma from being a young mom. And I think that had a lot for me to do with where I am now in my life with trying to figure out or going through the process of healing and then also figuring out who I am um, and what I want in this season of my life. Because um, I am 45 and my youngest biological child is 21. So I did my job, you know? I did my job. I have wonderful children. And for me to say I choose me, that means that in this season, I am pouring into Jennifer. And like I said, a lot of that relates to this character, how she begins to take small steps to figure out what it is she wants in this season of her life, what it is that she is willing to accept and what she is no longer willing to accept, and the boundaries that she sets for herself in her personal life and in her career. And I think that's important, and I think that's a big part of, the healing journey. This right here is my baby. This was a labor of love. There was a lot of tears that came writing this book. Like I said, I did a book playlist of songs that inspired this book, and I'll put it down in the description. Um, but if you're a woman who is in midlife, who um, is on a journey in this season to find themselves, to figure out what brings you joy, to figure out what do you want to do next in the season now that your children are grown and older. Um, I think you'll relate to this character, Alex. And I'm going to read a little synopsis that's about the book. After 23 years of prioritizing everyone else's needs and defining herself solely as a wife and a mother, Alex finds herself at a crossroads, facing the haunting question she has long ignored: who am I beyond these roles? Armed with the determination to rediscover herself, Alex embarks on an uncharted path, She navigates a new life, confronts buried traumas, unearths forgotten dreams, and slowly begins to piece together the mosaic of her true self. She learns to embrace her imperfections and to love herself for who she truly is rather than who she has been expected to be. I Choose Me is a poignant and empowering story about the courage to walk away from the known and embrace the terrifying freedom of starting over. It is a raw, intimate journey of healing, self acceptance, and the exhilarating discovery of what it means to finally choose yourself. So, this is available for pre order on my website, iamjenniferjohnson.com. It's also available on pre order for Amazon Kindle. And you order now, it will be released and mailed, or if you do the Kindle, you'll get it on the release date of April 18th. Um, I would really appreciate the support in this book. You know, read the story, tell me what you think about the character. Tell me if you can relate to the character, what she's feeling, what she's going through. You know, there are some shocking things that happen on Alex's journey that I just kept writing. I just kept writing. Things kept coming to me. And when you get to the end, um, you will see what's to come. Um, I think Alex's story is so relatable to women in their midlife, women who, like I said, their children are grown. Um, they're in a season of figuring out who they are, what they want, even in marriage, you know, trying to communicate what it is you need, what it is you're feeling, what it is you're going through, and that spouse not understand what it is you're feeling, what it is you're going through. It's all in the book. And I'm so, so, so excited. Like, this book means so much to me. And it's because the season that I am in my life. And, you know, like I said, I'm a storyteller. I love writing. I love telling stories, but I love telling stories that have a meaning, have a purpose, something that is relatable. And I really think this story is relatable. So I really, really, really appreciate your support. Um, Link is in the description for the pre-orders and also the um, book playlist. And if you listen to the book playlist, let me know what kind of vibes you're getting from listening to the different songs. You know, I want to know. Because, like I said, those songs really inspired um, a lot of the different experiences um, for Alex in this story. So, thank you for watching, and I do appreciate your support. And I will see you on the next Let's Talk About It Wednesday through the journey with Jennifer.